Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, great news coming from New Zealand. We have some news about some very peculiar cruise possible cancellations, like out of the ordinary a bit. And then we have a really heartwarming story and a Good Samaritan story about somebody who went way, way above and beyond the call of duty just to help some complete stranger out. Well, we have a little bit of good news here. To start off on Friday, we have the P&O's Pacific Explorer. It actually went into New Zealand and marks the first cruise ship to arrive in New Zealand since the shutdown. In fact, in that cruise port, that is the first cruise ship to have been there now in 880 days. That's incredible how much business was lost and how many people were out of work during that time and how much travel was stopped. 880 days. They're good. They're glad to be back. Let's put it that way. More and more ships will be heading in that direction in the very near future as they start to ramp up with more cruising. The transport minister there and came out and said that, you know what, it's going to take a long time for the industry to recover. But this is a good start because at one point the cruise industry was 20% of all foreign income in New Zealand. So fingers crossed and hope that gets back to where it was before. We had this couple who was about to sail on a P&O cruise and they get a message from their travel agent saying, yeah, we've been told your cruise has been canceled 3 weeks before the cruise. Now, right away you're wondering why. Did the ship cancel? Is there problems with the ship? Nope, there's no problems with the ship or anything. That the P&O just decided on that particular ship that they were going to use that cabin now for a quarantine cabin. Now this apparently is on like the 15th deck, which is a very high deck to have a quarantine section, but you'd say, well, just move them into another cabin. It's not that simple because this is a fully accessible handicap stateroom with the walk-in shower, the roll-in shower, and the wider door for wheelchairs and stuff like that. It's built for somebody with special needs, and so it's not that easy to move anybody, and there were no more accessible cabins left on the ship. They reached out to them saying, how could you possibly do this? Why are you doing it 3 weeks ahead of time? And they're not happy with the service. So much so that they just said, no, give us back our money. We're going to go with another cruise line that they don't even like. They actually say they don't like that cruise line too much. They've been there before, done that. So they're very disappointed, and I can imagine 3 weeks before your cruise, it's never good news to hear that you've been canceled. Not only that, they booked the insurance for the trip and paid for it because it's past final payment. Well, you don't get the insurance money back if you get a refund. That's money out of your pocket. So in some cases, some insurances are anywhere between $500 and $1,000, so they may be out $500 to $1,000 just because they decided to move a cabin to make it a quarantine cabin. I don't know how last minute of a decision this is, but normally you have a deck lined out already for quarantine cabins, and if if you need an accessible one, you shouldn't be selling it ahead of time. Now, P&O has said that they are working with the travel agency that the couple booked through, and they're saying that they will resolve it somehow. So I'll keep you up to date and see how they resolve it if we hear anything in the future. Then we have the Royal Caribbean sending out notices with some options because they've overbooked. The cruise ship Rhapsody of the Seas is supposed to be sailing, and yeah, something happened and they've overbooked it. So they're looking for volunteers to change it to different sailings, to change it to get a onboard credit, to move, all this kind of stuff. You can get your money back if you want to cancel, etc., etc. And there is an option to stay on the ship, but at some point if they're overbooked and they don't get enough volunteers, does that mean they're just going to, oh, randomly, sorry, you're gone? And by then, how close will it be to the cruise? Again, how do you overbook a cruise ship? Did they change the regulations for how many you're allowed to have on a cruise in a certain area? That's a possibility, but you should be aware. It's not like they've been lowering those numbers. If anything, those numbers have been climbing. I don't understand how you can overbook a cruise ship. But then again, I don't understand how you can overbook an airplane neither, but that happens all the time as well. Now, I do have an amazing Good Samaritan story. It's enough to warm your heart going into a Friday weekend. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. It really does help the channel out. It says, hey, YouTube, people like cruising videos. Why don't you share it to more people and see if they like it as well? Because you never know, maybe they will. And that's basically, it really helps the channel grow that way. Again, doesn't cost a thing. I'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much to everyone about to do so and who is already subscribed. I really, again, really appreciate it. All right, a heartwarming story. Family was on their way to a 50th anniversary celebration for their parents. And they get to the airport and they're standing in line at 3 a.m. and there's nobody at the counter. And they're the first ones in line. All right. Hour goes by, 2 hours goes by, 3 hours goes by. It's now 6 a.m. Still nobody at the counter. And guess what? The flight leaves at 6 a.m. and there's now a lineup a mile deep behind them, all people waiting to get on flights. And then finally, when a representative shows up, they said, yeah, the flights have all been canceled. Everybody in line. But they said, you have been booked. Don't worry, we've rebooked you for 4 p.m. tomorrow night. Well, the cruise leaves at 3 o'clock the next day. Now, this is in Seattle, and the lady had to make it to Vancouver. They didn't mean to leave it to that short notice or anything like that. They actually... another mishap is they read on a website the budget car rental place to return it to was closed at 5 p.m. So they showed up at 4:15 and it was closed. And there was a scribble on the door saying, instead of 5 o'clock, it scribbled it out and said 4 p.m. And there was nobody around, nobody to leave keys with. They felt uncomfortable leaving an unlocked car with keys in it and without signing it in and getting, any money that they might have put down on it, make sure they get it back. So they ended up getting to the airport, 3 a.m., standing there, and then their flight's canceled, and it's a 50th anniversary celebration. Well, in comes our Good Samaritan, in comes an angel, as they would be called. Her nickname is Annie. They called her Annie. And I'm not going to say the last name or anything like that because I don't know if they want it spread out there. But I actually know somebody with that last name, and it sounds like something that they would do as well. But they offered to drive them the 3 hours from Seattle to Vancouver so they could make their cruise. Because they were there dropping their mother off for another flight. And so after the mother took off, they loaded the family in, and she took them across the border and dropped them off in Vancouver. And you say, wow, that's amazing that they would bring total strangers back with them on their way to Vancouver. No, they weren't on their way to Vancouver. In fact, that evening for work, that lady had to be back, Annie had to be back in Washington. 3 hours the other way. So she spent her entire day helping this family out because she knew it was very important to them to be there for the 50th anniversary celebration. Well, if that doesn't restore your faith in humanity, folks, and Annie, cheers. I hope it comes back to you tenfold. That is an absolutely amazing. Like I said, you were their guardian angel for that trip, and I'm sure they really do appreciate it. They were posting it all over social media and thanking you, and you do not know how much it is appreciated. Not only by the couple and the family that you helped, but for everyone out there that, hey, you know what? It's a pretty good world out there most of the time, and there are some genuinely amazing people out there. So thank you for that. Well, I hope you appreciate that story in this video, and if you did, hey, give it a thumbs up, and why not hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, just in case you forgot. And until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.